Next stop, Time Warp. So what do you give the band that has seen it all? You show them things they've never seen before in themselves. That's right. We're going to warp each band member.
Take the shot
Vocalist for a heavy metal band is a punishing breakneck job. And the stresses on James's body and vocal cords are obvious. Now watch at 2,000 frames per second as he literally spits out the lyrics. His power and concentration are amazing. Even James can't believe the amount of saliva that spews from his mouth.
Ah! Wow.
Yeah.
What was all that stuff?
Explain that.
You're creating vapor there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, when you pressurize your mouth like that, even at this temperature, you can create this thing to go to vapor, to go to steam.
Oh,
It's awesome.
look, there's little pieces of me flying.
Little pieces of you.
You don't want to use this mic.
No, no. So I think the next thing we want to grab is you wanted to bash a guitar.
I want to smash the guitar.
Again. That was the one.
A solid body guitar is called solid for a reason. So I thought the bolt-on neck was the weak point where it was going to go.
Especially with that much mass.
Yeah, it held on really well. Look at the strings going.
Yeah. I was surprised the strings made it completely through this.
Next, James smashes the X-tone at 1,000 frames per second.
Yeah.
There's this is the hollow body.
Let's start with guitar. Let's start with just an octave, the most basic interval that we actually hear as, you know, the same note in a different place. I assume you guys all know what octave is in terms of playing it, but have you guys ever seen one?
I don't think so, no.
All right, so if you hit the low E and the octave above it in unison.
When these octaves are played on two different strings, the frequency of vibration in one is a direct multiple of the other.
Is that 2 to 1? What is it?
Exactly 2 to 1, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Wow.
In heavy metal, this principle is the same, even when played at lightning-fast speed by legendary guitarist Kirk Hammett. One of the things metal is famous for is guitar shredding, which is playing lots of notes as fast as possible. But to get his unique sound, Kirk also uses techniques known as hammer-ons and pull-offs. Hammer-ons allow you to play 2 or more notes for every pluck of a string. In a hammer-on, a finger presses a vibrating string into a fret, shortening it and making it play a higher note. The pull-off is the opposite of the hammer-on. The finger is released, so the vibrating part of the string becomes longer and plays a lower note.
Yeah, and you're doing octaves here?
Yeah, that's an octave right there at the 12th fret.
I always thought the hammer-on pull-offs were straight up and down, but it seems like you're giving it a lot of the energy by plucking it almost the way your right hand
Yeah,
would.
I'm hammering on with my finger, and the pull-off is off to the side.
So the hammer is kind of up and down, and then you
Up
scrape
and
off
down,
sideways.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, just to put it in perspective, this entire clip that we're watching is probably 2 seconds,
Wow.
right? So you were doing that awfully fast.
Playing heavy metal guitar is an aggressive sort of technique to begin with. You really have to hit the strings pretty heavily for maximum effect.
At 1,000 frames per second, we can see how Kirk's incredible dexterity creates this blizzard of notes.
Now you're just doing a vibrato there?
Yeah, that looks like just a regular vibrato, yeah. Well, it's interesting to see the way my hand is kind of rocking back and forth.
Just to take it a little more advanced, why don't we use the violin and do fifths, which is a 3 to 2 frequency ratio. So
Perfect.
All right, so that covers the amazing thing to me about music is that, you know, an octave we just hear almost as one note in two places. You go to a fifth and it's kind of part of one note, and then you go to the major third and it starts sounding happy. You keep going smaller and you get to minor thirds and then diminished and then minor seconds. You get smaller and smaller ratios and we get kind of less and less happy about it. Our measure of happy versus sad in music is basically how simple is this fraction.
Right.
And it's just like a measure of math.
Next up, bassist Rob Trujillo. Rob is the newest member of the band, having joined the group in early 2003.
Rock.
Rob uses a picking style that is unusual in the world of metal.
It seems like most bands that do harder stuff use picks when they play bass. Why do you do finger picking?
My father actually played flamenco guitar when I was growing up. So initially, my first experience actually visually seeing a guitar player was watching him play flamenco.
Okay.
I think that's where I adopted the technique. And then I noticed a lot of the old school bass players were using that same technique, and I just kind of went that route, you know. I'm not against pick playing at all. I think it's cool. It definitely has its place, but I'm better and more familiar with the finger technique.
You can even see the vibration go back and forth along the string.
All the way up.
Rob utilizes a technique borrowed from jazz and funk, slap bass. In slap bass, one hand literally slaps and pops the strings, giving Rob a more percussive sound and allowing him to play many notes quickly.
So this is the slap segment, which is pretty fast. Whoa.
And the thumb is just doing what here?
Well, the thumb actually, it sort of mutes that low B, which is the thicker string on top, and then you bam!
To see another style of slap bass, we turn to our string band. Check out Zach Hickman's technique on the acoustic bass.
Something like that.
Awesome. Why don't we look at a slide and really see that as the length of the string changes, what happens?
Sure, yeah, so if I'll play the low note and then just go all the way up on the E string.
Awesome. That's going to look pretty amazing. Yeah, as the string gets shorter, it vibrates faster.
It gets quicker.
It's getting quicker.
Last stop on our magical mystery tour, founding member Lars Ulrich. At 5,000 frames per second, we can show Lars a few things about his drumming that he's never seen.
Whoa! Look at that thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that flexible.
Super flexible.
Wow.
It's the only way it makes that much noise.
In one of these hits.
And why don't we just get a shot underneath?
Yeah.
See how the snare works.
Perfect. Yeah, I got this super wide fish here.
Go ahead.
Yeah, anytime.
You ready?
Yep.
The slow motion footage shows the hidden anatomy of a drum hit.
This is the underside of the drum, how the snare actually works.
Whoa!
And this is just one hit.
One hit, 5,000 frames per second.
That's unbelievable. It's art. Look at
It
that.
is totally art.
Huh?
I mean, one of the most interesting things to me here is if all these guys move together with the membrane moving back and forth, the snare drum would be tonal. It would be just like any of these stringed instruments. It would have a frequency. The fact that these are all moving at different rates because of the chaos involved in the membrane is why it's a percussion instrument and not a tone instrument. Ready?
Go ahead.
Ouch!
It's horrible.
Please, don't shoot the piano player.
When you play, this is almost every note in the scale at the same time.
It's so cool.
Wow.
And you can see there's no lining up of frequencies.
Yeah.
Like that.
Just like with the snare drum.
Crazy.
That just looks like an earthquake.
Wow, yeah. It's just chaos, yeah.
It's all
like,
over the place.